Hello everyone and welcome to That's Hindsight, a brand new podcast which puts media from the past under the microscope. We look back with hindsight and see whether films from the past hold up today. Hello everyone and welcome. Today I'm joined by Taylor.
Hello, I am Taylor.
How are you?
I'm alright, how are you?
Oh, you know what? I'm pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Oh.
Great.
Little subtle curve of enthusiasm
Yes.
drop
And
there.
that voice there, Mark Shepherd, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes. Excited to be, once again, telling people what we think.
Yeah.
Whether they like it or not.
Yes. Have you either of you been up to much?
I ran a marathon.
Congratulations.
Just drop that in there.
Just-
Drop it in
wow.
every conversation. To be fair, it was about 30 seconds
I ran
and I
to the
didn't
toilet.
mention it.
And didn't even tell anyone really you were doing it before you did it. And then just went like, yeah, just did it.
Well,
Marathon, completed it, mate.
mate, done it. I've got to do it. No, I won't go into the details of running because no one cares. But if you do, please email us to tell us how much you care. And I will.
Taylor runs.
Taylor runs.
Yeah.
Good idea. Sorry.
So back to the topic at hand.
Wow.
Hopefully you enjoyed our last episode about Lethal Weapon, and you may know, and hopefully you did, do your homework and watch Airplane, which was Mark's choice from his year of birth, 1980.
Absolutely.
Which we're going to discuss in a little bit. But before then, I think we need to take a journey back to 1980. And here I have a selection of facts that I would like to share with you, and hopefully you do too, that you brought to the table
Of course.
that will set the scene for the year. The first one I'll bring you is the Rubik's Cube was released for the first time.
Oh, so that was 1980.
Yes.
I did read a fact about it earlier and I thought, is that relevant? I was like...
When I was young, we didn't play with Rubik's Cube. Well, we did have a Rubik's Cube, but that was not the epitome of toys.
I mean,
I had a baby doll that I could feed and it would poo.
That's
okay.
not a Rubik's Cube.
But did you have that in 1980?
I didn't
So
have.
therefore,
I didn't
it's
really have a baby doll at any point during my childhood.
Did your sister?
I think my sister. No, I don't think she did actually.
Damn it.
I have a
Also,
sister.
I doubt as Mark was born, he was handed a Rubik's Cube.
Well,
Solve
funnily
this.
Enough, no, I wasn't. And I've never been able to solve one.
I've never solved
But the
one.
fact I read, interestingly, is that no Rubik's Cube is further than 20 moves from being solved, which makes me feel really rubbish
Yeah.
now that I've never
Really?
actually managed to do one.
20?
20 moves, apparently. And it must, when you think about it, and these
Twenty
people do these really speed runs,
With one
they
hand
don't
as
take that
well.
long to do them. So there must be that way of seeing what to do and where to go. I feel like I need to do one now. This is a challenge for me. I'm going to buy a Rubik's Cube.
You'll post it on the Instagram when you do it.
That will never get posted.
Speaking of posted, the Post-it note was released. Just in 1980, Post-it notes came about.
Invented in 1974 by scientists Spencer Silver and Art Fry, it was picked up by Post-it. 3M. They brought it to market.
6 years to come to market
Yeah.
for a Post-it note.
Wow.
I remember reading one of those, it might be a myth things, that they were trying to invent like a really strong glue, and they invented that glue.
Oh, I've
and
definitely heard the same thing. Yeah.
And they were like, oh, we'll make that into Post-it notes. I don't know whether that's true.
I like to believe it.
I want to
I
believe
don't know
it.
why.
I love a Post-it note, colour-coded, absolute fan.
They're a bit of a waste of paper, though, aren't they? Hashtag Green Earth.
Well, yes.
I've made that up as a hashtag, but it works. It's fine.
We're starting it.
Yeah. Here's one then. In 1980, the first 1 gig hard drive cost $40,000 and weighed over 500 pounds. I mean, that's
large.
being a nerd. Wow, that's pretty impressive. 1 gig. I mean,
What's
you've
a
got more
gig?
gigs in your phone.
Wow.
And you know, whoever owned that hard drive was just like, I will never need any more storage.
But sure, they could only
4
have
photos on here.
Aye.
You want to say?
Gosh. 1 gig.
I know, that's
Yeah.
pretty stingy, isn't it?
Well, stingy.
Speaking of stingy, John Lennon was shot dead at the age of 40
I
by Mark David Chapman.
didn't know a member of the Beatles was
Beatles.
shot.
Beatles.
Beatles was shot. Why was he shot?
I think
Was it a fan?
He was very activist in them days, wasn't he?
Yeah, but I think Mark David Chapman runs into the category of mega fans that becomes a bit
Stalker.
obsessed and then suddenly becomes quite jealous of their fame and figures, well, if I kill him, I will be famous too.
Ah.
Well, he kind of is, but isn't.
Yeah.
Infamous. I find it weird that I'm realising now that I'm 40 this year. He was 40, and the killer was called Mark.
What are you trying to say?
Giving me the heebie-jeebies.
In terms of deaths, we've also got births. Alongside Mark, Ryan Gosling, Kristen Bell, and Channing Tatum were born. What a year of people to be born
that year.
with.
You are right with 4.
I didn't realise they were 40. Do you know? I don't know how old I thought they were.
Are you saying because I look so old for my age?
No, I was meaning
That's what I'm
that
taking away from it.
Channing Tatum, I thought was 26. Kristen Bell as well. I don't know. I just didn't picture. To be fair, I never really think about age, but
Well, that's good.
congratulations on sharing your birth year with.
Thanks, it was planned.
A-class.
Here you go. The term cyberpunk was coined in 1980 by Bruce Bethke, which is, again, being a nerd, it's a little relevant this year because there's a new game coming out called Cyberpunk 2077, which a lot of people are excited about. So that's...
Is that what it's... Because it was a book, wasn't it, originally? Is that what it's based on?
The game?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't look into it that much. It's just an exciting game coming out. We're not sponsored by it, but I'm going to buy it.
Yet.
If they wanted to give us copies to review,
if you're listening,
we will take them.
We like money. So yeah, that's interesting. It's one of the things, again, I would never have thought that sort of phrase had been around for 40 years. Cyberpunk. It sounds very...
What does it mean?
It means the punk of the cyber.
I suppose it's a bit like steampunk. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay.
No, I've heard of it. I don't know what it means.
Yeah, it's the whole like futuristic, but with a punk kind of style.
Okay.
Which is the same as...
Edgy future.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Speaking of an edgy future, Ronald Reagan was elected president of the United States for the first time.
Wow.
Although he actually became president in 1981, but I think he was elected in 1980. Because I think they have a little bit of a crossover, don't they?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
So, weird one. Janice Brown made the first long-distance solar-powered flight. So, if in 1980 we had solar-powered flights, why
aren't
is
we
it
doing
not
that now?
progressed?
Yeah.
I know there was an electric plane that flew from Cranfield University the other day, the first passenger electric plane. I'm sure there's more details to that. But I just think, surely if it's been 40 years, we should have made further progression.
Yeah, you would think.
Technologically? Is that a word?
Disappointing. We should be flying to the moon off wind power.
Yes.
I might be able to get there after a good tin of beans. Oh, fart jokes. Arcade game Pac-Man was released this year and was originally called Puckman.
Classic game.
Why?
Yeah.
Puckman.
Puckman.
Oh, because he's a puck.
Because it's like a puck. But
Oh.
they had to change the name because they thought that was very easy to change into a rather rude word.
Okay.
Well, it took Taylor a long time to realise that. I know you guys can't see her face, but there was a lot of
I don't think it's that close.
information. What, a P to an F?
Yeah.
All you've got to do is rub the end of the P away.
Oh, on the actual consoles.
Well, no, just in general. If there was advertisements
Yeah,
for
but I
Puckman, just rub the edge of that P off.
I was just thinking of it in terms of, people would call it that, not in terms of changing
Well, there would have been that as
advertisements.
well.
But yeah.
But very easy to graffitiise.
The highest grossing movie was The Empire Strikes Back. The second chapter, well, it's actually like the fifth chapter, of the Star Wars saga was released. And some the Papal does not endorse it. Some people say it is the best of the lot.
I would be one of those people. I think most people would agree that is the best. And one of the few times where a sequel outstrips the original film in terms of quality and everything, really. We don't need to talk about that. Everyone knows that. So.
And then finally, unless you guys got any more facts?
My facts have been stolen.
Oh, I'm glad I stole some of those.
They have. I had John Beatles and Rubik's Cube, so thanks, guys.
John Beatles.
John Lennon from the Beatles.
If you've got, I've got one more Beatles one for you because apparently that's the thing. It's after customs found 8 ounces of cannabis in his luggage, Paul McCartney sat in jail for 10 days before eventually being released without charges. I feel like I've just stolen Ed's.
No,
okay.
I knew about that one.
10 days, and then just being
10 days, and considering what a huge celebrity he is, that seems almost crazy.
Yeah,
especially when he's released without charges. It doesn't say they didn't find his cannabis, so that was his then.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Paul.
Okay, and finally, best-selling album in the US, I should note, was Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Oh.
Great album.
I can honestly say I couldn't name one Pink
Plink.
Plink.
Floyd.
One Pink Floyd song.
Just Another Brick in the Wall.
Is that? Are you,
How does it
are you
go?
saying it to me?
Please sing it.
I feel like you were calling me a name.
We don't need no.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know it now, but
I eye contact for so long, and I was like, "Is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it?"
I was scared.
I didn't know that was Pink Floyd. I do know the song.
You do now. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back to discuss Aeroplane.
Airplane.
Aeroplane.
And welcome back. So, Airplane. Mark, your history, this film, tell me.
Well, history's a hard one. I mean, I couldn't tell you when I first watched it, but it's a film I've watched many times over the years.
Why?
Why?
Sorry.
I love a good spoof, and I love Leslie Nielsen. So I would have watched all the Naked Gun films first, and then probably found out he was in Airplane and watched that. I definitely watched Naked Gun before I watched Airplane. But it's my kind of film. Silly, spoofy, stupid jokes.
I think I had a similar... I think I watched it with my dad, probably when I was about 12.
Yeah.
And it was on TV. And I probably haven't seen it since then. And remember thinking, Airplane is the funniest film that has ever been made.
I feel like that's telling
That is...
in what you've just said.
There has never been a funnier film than Airplane. And then this was the first time watching it again.
Your mind was obviously changed.
Leave that out.
I've never seen it.
I mean, that doesn't surprise
Shock.
me. Yeah.
I haven't seen any film past 2000. Just
Had you heard of it?
No.
No, because you thought it was Aeroplane.
Why is it not?
Still does.
Because it's just silly, isn't it? It's like that shortening that people say, I'm going to get on the airplane.
Can you give me an example of what a spoof, like a modern day spoof?
Scary Movie.
Oh, okay.
Where you
So-
take that sort of film. So
It was never going to be good for
funny
me
enough, one
then.
of the facts I found out. You say Scary Movie's not any good.
I'm not a fan of spoofs.
Oh,
But it's just
my word.
stupid.
Yeah, but they're
What a spoof
stupid.
is,
But the
I don't
humour's
like
always
it.
very much. It's all very observant. It's observational humour, a lot of it, isn't it? You've got to watch. I mean, in every watch, you might see something different going on in the background. But so one of these facts I found that I thought I would wait for now is that this film came out this year. It's largely based on the 1957 drama called 0 Hour, and it follows the same plot, uses the same character name for the hero passenger, and parodies a lot of scenes using the same dialogue word for word.
Oh, wow.
So there you go. So for people watching this in 1980, they were probably more familiar with the film 0 Hour. I've never heard of it. I always assumed watching it that a lot of these scenes were based on films or things I've never seen, just because they're clearly doing it like that. But I had no context for it.
I'd be interested to know whether this is one of the first parody films.
I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't know if it's one of the first. I think it's one of the first.
It's got to be early one.
Popular,
though, isn't it?
yeah. Like one of the ones that people know about. I can't think of anything. Maybe things like Blazing Saddles. Obviously, that's a spoof, and like some of the Mel Brooks stuff. But I think this is this is definitely one of the earlier ones.
I think if I would have known it was a spoof going into it, I would have liked it more.
What were you expecting? I mean, it was a comedy.
Not
The
really.
thing is-
I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I'm really, really glad that it was an hour and a half and not longer.
It's interesting to watch because it's very much played out as very serious film. And I like that about it. Like, it's done like really dramatically. Everyone's really serious and all that, but it's just everything else is so silly.
It wouldn't work if everyone was winking at the camera.
No,
all the time.
no.
Although people do address the
I'm
camera.
gonna
at
say,
some
yeah,
point.
Yeah. I didn't laugh once.
Wow.
Laughed when it ended in celebration.
That's okay.
But
No, that's
No,
fine. I had a feeling you hadn't
awful.
liked it, but that's I hated it. Wasn't perhaps what I was expecting.
did you think I would have liked it?
I thought you might have found bits of it amusing.
No.
Oh wow, okay. So not even right at the start, the very first thing, the Jaws theme and the fin of the aeroplane going
I
through the
wasn't
clouds.
sure what came out first, the aeroplane or Jaws. That's actually one of my notes. What came out first, the aeroplane or Jaws?
Jaws.
Did it?
Just airplane, not the aeroplane.
Sorry.
I feel like this is
Yeah,
going to become a
but-
theme.
Again, Jaws, like,
So did you think that Jaws might be based on the start of Airplane?
yeah.
That is amazing.
What year did Jaws come out?
77. No, early 70s.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know which one came out first, but I didn't know it was a spoof at this point.
Oh, fair
So
enough.
I was like,
75. Jaws.
and then
You are allowed to do a bit of research before you watch it if you
yeah,
want.
but I didn't want to like when I watched the trailer for Lethal Weapon. I really didn't look forward to watching it, so I didn't want to go in that way again.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so anyway, so we started the film.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, we get a silly start, which I loved.
Get that Jaws parody, and like I have to admit, it started, and part of me rolled my eyes in a kind of bloody hell Jaws, but then I couldn't help but smirking at it.
Yeah, I love it when it bursts out of the clouds towards the camera. Taylor does.
I think you've got to remember, like Jaws was very fresh back then.
Yeah,
It's not
a
like
lot
now.
of this stuff is obviously a lot, and these things won't have been done to death when this film came out. So, like you would have seen parodies for Jaws in other stuff by now, but then perhaps not. So people would have immediately been perhaps chuckling at me like, "Am I in the wrong film?"
Yeah.
We're at the airport, hustle and bustle.
Lucky us.
Huh?
Lucky us.
Got to get on board, Taylor.
Okay.
You got those announcers fighting with
Get
each
the
other.
announcers to turn off each other, and we meet. This is where we meet all the main characters. Don't we? We meet Elaine, the stewardess, flight attendant. Sorry, Ted Stryker, who's the passenger with the drinking problem, where he can't drink. He just throws a drink at his face.
Not even. Sorry, I can't. I need to verbally describe me rolling my eyes.
Taylor's rolling her eyes.
Drinking from like. Nah, it
That
just
is quite
wasn't
funny.
Oh,
It
it's so
just
good.
wasn't funny.
Ever since that's when I developed my drinking problem, and you think, oh, obviously he's talking about alcohol.
I think
and then,
maybe if I watched it
in his
with
eye.
you too, I would have liked it more. But like, I was just watching it stone cold face, like, what?
Wow. But what is interesting, obviously, I've watched it a number of times, but I never really picked up on the fact, watching it this time, that all the people getting out of the various taxis are the people on the plane.
Yeah.
Which obviously, seeing it for the first time, you wouldn't have known anyway. You might have put it together afterwards, but I'd never put it together. So I was like, oh yeah, they're on the plane, I was like, oh, this is obviously something I should have realised before now. Obviously, that's just a start. But I always like how whenever, obviously, so Elaine and Ted have got a history together, and whenever they're talking to each other, it's always real dramatic music swells in the background, and I love that.
That soap opera kind of.
Yeah, it's just
swell,
like
yeah.
really dramery. Taylor again doesn't like it.
Oh, it's not. It's just what he chases her through the airport, doesn't he? And there's the people giving flowers from the church.
Yes,
and he just gives away his jacket.
This
But
is
again,
my
I
first
didn't know it was
questionable
a
moment,
spoof.
though. Like,
So-
it's like, was this a thing that used to happen in the 80s? It feels like it's wrong. Like, all these different religious people trying to give of the Church of Religious Consciousness, and here's a flower. But, like, did that used to happen? I have no idea. Does it happen now? I don't go to airports.
I still feel like in other places you do get people forcefully trying to like, here's a badge for X,
I suppose so,
whatever,
yeah.
and please make a donation because I've just given you it already, so
Yeah,
you feel like you have
yeah.
to.
I don't go anywhere anymore, so I don't see these people.
No, yeah.
Did you not? So nothing made you laugh. So then the captain has to answer the white phone, and he picks up the red phone, and then the announcer tells him it's the white phone, and he picks that one up.
No.
Having just
I
reading Modern
genuinely,
Sperm.
I should have known it was a spoof, but I just thought, what?
But at that point, did you not think to yourself, oh, this is obviously a spoof?
No, I didn't. I thought, like, when the announcers were arguing,
Yeah.
my other half said that's the sort of comedy the whole way through the film. And so, because he positioned it as that's the sort of comedy, not that this is a spoof, I was just like, it's not funny. Go. And then he shouts, doesn't he, when he's picked up the wrong phone, he shouts, oh, okay. And I was like, well, that wouldn't happen. But then I just think it's the whole fact that it was so unrealistic, the whole concept of the film. It just makes me roll my eyes.
Have you been in spoof plays before?
What? Pantomime?
No, plays we've done.
What plays?
I think we need to
Teach me
educate
what a
Taylor on
spoof
spoofs.
is. Yeah.
But
But
we
you
won't
don't-
do that now.
You never, like, throughout the entire thing, you never get the detail of why Ted and Elaine, oh, you just need to get through the past. I just can't be with you. I'm going to Chicago.
But we do get that detail. It comes through the film, doesn't it? Apparently not.
The specific reason they broke up comes out.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't been able to hold down a job and he keeps
Oh, well,
he keeps going back
he's
over
not-
Because of his
not-
post-traumatic stress.
yeah, but he's not letting... yeah, well, that's just added to the point of you need to get past the past.
That is the past.
Yeah, it just wasn't concrete enough, and she just walked out, and then he chased her through the airport.
One thing I would say, I didn't realise how much of the film is flashbacks. I didn't remember that.
Yeah,
as much.
I knew there were flashbacks, but I, the same as you. It's like, it's a large chunk of this is.
Yeah.
And I suppose that is when you think about it, because the actual plot itself is very thin.
Yeah.
So it probably did need a bit of padding. But yes, I mean, because the whole airport scene is basically just setting up for what's going to happen. Like all these people getting on the plane. The girl on the phone is the one. She's gonna the heart transplant girl.
Is that how people would fly to get a heart transplant? And what's
no
the
idea
airport to
back then.
start with? What airport are they? Where are they? Because they're flying to Chicago.
I don't know. They
know.
mentioned it's just supposed to be
I
an
was
American
wondering how
airport, I
long the
guess.
flight was. This was something that was bothering me.
They look like from the map later they're flying from the west coast to the east coast. By the looks of it.
Yeah, it's all about setting up for the plane, and then you see, I laughed at this bit, and obviously you wouldn't have found it funny, but when they're getting on the plane and these two random characters are saying goodbye to each other, like she's waving to him from the train tracks, and then starts running into all the posts and all that. I was cracking up.
What?
Oh.
Really? Like actually laughing?
Yeah, I found it well amusing.
I was like, why is the plane driving without the door closed? I don't get it. And I didn't like it. There was a scene before that, wasn't there, where the pilots were all sitting in the front room and suddenly the guy falls off the ladder. And obviously, like,
Oh
when
my
he's
god,
cleaning
that guy who goes up, pops the hood of the plane,
Yeah.
as if the engine is just up there at the front.
Yeah. Squeegee the windows and stuff, innit? Because while they're talking, so were you listening to what they were saying rather than watching what was going on outside?
I was watching the guy as well, but...
Because I realised after that, I was like, I've not heard a word they've said
No.
because I'm literally just watching him the whole time. Wow. So all
my
the
notes
comedy points for you were just things that were happening.
Yeah, and I just put, would the plane driver not stop, ? Acting sucks. Was my notice for that section.
Which acting specifically? Was it Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
All of...
Because I did think his acting left a little bit to be desired at that point, I must admit.
It's all put, like when he's staring at when Ted's chased Elaine through the airport and he's just staring at her. He's like, please, don't go. And she's like, I've got to go. Like, it was just the interactions.
But it's supposed, it's all supposed to be very...
know, but I didn't
melodramatic.
realise this. I just thought the acting was poor.
I would have thought it would have dawned on you at some point. But
It
not to
didn't.
worry. Anyway, so they're finally on the plane now. Everyone's on the plane.
The
We're taking
smoking
off.
ticket, can we just... What?
I love the
No.
smoking ticket. Smoking or
Absolutely
non-smoking.
not. What?
Why didn't that make you laugh?
Well, I've never known anyone to smoke on a plane in my life.
Well, I was going to say, I mean,
It used to be a thing that you used to get smoking and non-smoking on planes, and they reckon, because I mean now they reckon the air quality on planes isn't as good as it used to be, because they used to do a lot of filtering for the smoking,
Yeah.
whereas now they don't do that.
okay.
As a side note, but yeah, so they probably would have asked you, do you want smoking or non-smoking, which is why it didn't jump out of me. I'm just like, yeah. But it did catch me off when they handed them the smoking ticket.
yeah, I thought it was good. Oh, I must admit, it surprised me in the film how much smoking there is, and I don't know if that's supposed to be, again, part of that whole thing is that they used to smoke to look, like stress and smoke, but like everyone's smoking in this film
And
all the time.
everyone in the control tower has always got those cigarettes that are just like, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
They're still like sucking the last drags of this last bit.
Sorry, again, side note.
No, keep going.
When they're in the airport, the captain is looking at magazines and the label is whacking material. Was that a thing?
Because they're adult mags.
Yeah, but was that actually a thing? No.
They weren't labelled
Okay,
as
so this
whacking
is-
material,
This
no,
isn't
obviously.
me. Okay. I thought that was like an actual thing, and I was like, what?
That's a sight gag.
But in hindsight, that doesn't hold up well. I know it's a joke, but again, I didn't
Well,
get
you don't
that.
really get many... I assume you still get adult magazines these days, but
If you go to a petrol station, top shelf of the magazines.
It's not a thing
They're
really,
still
though,
there.
is it?
not so much these days. The internet provides that for you.
So we're on the plane.
We're on the plane now, and this
Three
is
pilots.
where we almost get a flashback straight away, don't we? Because Ted's nervous about flying, and he starts to tell his seat person next to him.
Yeah.
The passenger next to him.
That's it.
sitting next to
Yeah.
him.
About like how he met Elaine, and that's the first flashback we have when they go over to a dive bar, and it's because very Saturday Night Fever, doesn't it? Staying Alive starts playing, and I love it. It made me laugh though, because obviously I'm watching a nice HD version of this now.
I know what you're going to say.
And you could just see all the guy lines where they're holding him up, and it's just like, yeah, this would have been a problem on a much lower resolution version. But that's to be expected, I suppose.
But I feel like it makes it funnier in a different way now.
Yeah, true.
I actually
literally
really
your
just
eyes
didn't
just
like
keep
the
rolling
film.
round and round. I feel like you're going to fall over.
It's just the moments that you two are like, haha. I was like, no. My notes for this section are just not funny. That's literally all I've got written down. Not funny.
Not even the bit where they're playing poker or something at the start, and it's two Girl Scouts.
Two girl guys doing it, and then they just start massively fighting.
I like the dance section. Do you know, like,
of course,
that's my favourite. But it's just, why is she there? Firstly, in the bar.
Maybe she just wants to go for a dance.
Yeah, and she goes to this place where everyone fights all the time.
Also, why are two girls playing poker?
It's supposed to be rough. Why is there popcorn on the table?
Maybe it was a snack.
Bothers me. Yeah, but
it just try to rationalise these things.
The analysis of this.
This helped in Lethal Weapon, but in this sort of film, it does not help. I just know.
No, it's not for analysis.
Realism is not.
No.
The dancing. I think the dancing scene was probably the highlight of the film for me, because I like the song. What was the song?
Staying Alive.
Staying Alive.
Yeah.
By Bee Gees, which was, I think, was slightly sped up as well. So
yeah, probably
was even higher.
And I like the dress and whatever, but again, this is the peak. It should have just ended here. And I would have.
Oh right, that was the end of the film for you.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
If possible. I actually wrote as well under that. I just put, I really don't get it. I really don't get it. And the sound effects are just throughout the film are
very cartoonish. Like whenever he throws his hat or his jacket away, they always come back as well.
Yeah.
It's like pew! It amused me that whenever he's telling someone a story, they immediately have to end themselves afterwards. Like his story's that long and boring.
I thought this just gradually got more tasteless. The people next to him.
I think it's very tasteless from the start.
Yeah, but gosh.
But then it's quite, like you say, it's quite flashbacky, because we have that, and then we have a Lane's flashback with them on the beach, don't we?
Disgusting. Wet hair in the sand. My God, my sensory.
Dead fish.
Yeah, dead fish in the background.
And it was a catfish.
There was a catfish, wasn't there?
Catfish don't live in the sea. Is that supposed to be a joke?
I think so.
I like that you picked up on the fact that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, but it's also the fact she's got her hair in the sand, and I'm just dying.
When the waves are washing over them while they're laying on the beach, I was like, I would not have enjoyed doing that, because it's proper heavy waves, isn't it? But I'm impressed. I assume that was stuck.
What was that plant that got caught up?
Well, it's still seaweed,
I
wasn't it?
don't think it was seaweed. It looked like a tomato vine or something.
Probably whatever they found around something on the lot while they were filming. This will do.
I think, but next note I've got is about when the boy gets brought into the cockpit. Appalling.
I found that hilarious.
That just.
Have you ever seen a naked man, Jimmy?
It's so inappropriate, but the way he just keeps asking, have you ever seen a man naked? What?
But there's that moment where the air hostess goes to take him away, and then the pilot's like, oh, no, he can stay up here. And then she's like, okay, that's great. Because for a moment I thought, oh, she thinks this is inappropriate, I'll take him away.
Yeah.
No,
just leave him there.
Leave him.
He just keeps asking the questions, but that's the best one. Have you ever seen a man naked? I found it hilarious.
What the F? No, aged awfully.
Aged awful? Well, I mean, but I suppose in my head,
it's horrific.
Then that wouldn't have been an appropriate joke. That's the point.
Absolutely not. What? What? No. Aged appalling me. I can't even put into words how much that is.
I laughed.
Yeah, but maybe that's
perhaps more than I should have.
I have to admit, I did laugh, but I didn't feel good about laughing. I know what you mean.
Because of the time periods we watched it, but yeah, no.
But that would have been as inappropriate back then as it is now. At no point is that ever appropriate, in terms of a thing you would say.
No.
But that's the silliness of it, isn't it? I mean, you do get the random things in this film that are said that throw you for a loop. Because at one point she just casually throws it in the conversation how we were sitting at home and I'd be sitting on your face, and I was just like, what? Just really wasn't sure I'd heard her right then. And then you get a flashback of Ted in hospital, and Now, I don't know if this is supposed to be like a reference to like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or something like that. It definitely felt like it was a reference to something.
If it is, I can't figure out what way, but maybe
In a mad, because they're in a, it's like an institution almost, isn't it? And it's it's supposed to be a mental hospital, I suppose. But it just felt like all the crazy people. Crazy is not the right terminology. I apologise.
Mentally ill.
Yes, people in that. They would I felt like they were lampooning something, but I couldn't figure out what. And One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was the only thing that really came to mind.
But all of this has happened before we've even got to the plot
of
the film.
Yeah.
My God.
Because this is what I was saying earlier. There isn't much plot.
There is no plot. Man has to land a plane because people are sick. But they're sick in the terms of they have eggs coming out of their mouths. And it's because they've eaten fish that's poisoned. What?
But it's just a sight gag. It's not supposed to be like that would be a natural symptom of it.
But that's not funny. She just keeps having eggs come out of her mouth.
I found it quite.
No.
I didn't realise how bad Leslie Nielsen's grabbing in his pocket and providing the egg.
With the egg and kept moving it out.
Yeah.
Did he? I didn't notice that.
It's quite good apparently. But I was pleased when Leslie Nielsen appeared. I am a huge fan.
35 minutes it takes Leslie Nielsen to appear in this film.
This wasn't... I don't know if this was one of his early... When he first started doing that kind of comedy. I mean, obviously he'd done the Police Squad TV show.
Yeah, when was Police Squad?
That was 70s or 60s?
Because he was a very serious actor to begin with.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it is his ability to be so deadpan with everything he says that makes him...
Anything he does.
Oh, I love it. Rest in peace, Leslie Neilsen.
82. So this is probably one of the first things
that, then.
He'd done.
Well, okay, there you go. So he does look quite young. I mean, he's still got grey hair even in this.
He looks the same age.
Yeah, he didn't age. Once he got to a certain age, that was it.
He peaked. And then
absolutely
stayed at that peak.
But yes, so obviously then everyone starts getting here and we find out that it's because anyone who's had the fish dish.
Can I just say before...
Go on.
One more gag, sorry. The little boy in that coffee... And when he gives it to that girl, and what she says, I knew about that line, but I'd completely forgotten about it, and I spat my drink out when she said that.
It's that whole thing because they're just young kids pretending to be adults.
It is shocking, isn't it?
I didn't laugh.
No, again.
But I didn't laugh at all. But I was like, come on, that's a little bit funny. I was like, no. Not even a little bit.
Oh, I like that. I mean, yeah, it's not something you'd hear people say now. Well, it's an old joke, isn't it? Well, I take my coffee like I take my men, and it's always done in various different ways. But
in fact, it's this young girl.
Yeah, so well, it takes the boy by surprise as much as anyone else, doesn't it?
I wrote what about the whole...
No, actually, I've jumped a little bit because before that. There's a bit where one of the flight attendants asks if she can sing to the little girl who's ill. And she gets the guitar and starts singing, but then knocks her drip out. And this has always bugged me. Like, for some reason, the reaction of the girl when her drip gets knocked out is that she can no longer breathe.
Yeah.
And sucks her cheeks in and apparently can't see anymore either. And is groping over this drip and they're like, what is in that drip? Just always a really weird moment for me. I'm like, I know it's played for comedy, but I'm like, it strikes me as...
They've tried to do some kind of visual reaction to it.
It's very strange.
Really, really strange. Does she? No, she doesn't die in the end, though, does she?
No.
All is well. All is well. But then there's also the pilot. That's a basketball player.
Yeah, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Why?
I think it's
comedy.
Why is he there?
I think it's just so you have that moment with the boy knowing who it is, and they're like, "You're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar," and he's like, "No, I'm not." And
yeah, he's supposed to be an actor,
and you're like, so you are like, why is he flying this plane?
Because I think at that time, I assume he was one of the biggest sports personalities in the world.
Was he?
Yeah, because he was well known for his basketball prowess.
Yeah, I don't watch basketball or anything. I know of him.
Yeah.
But he had the fish.
And I've seen him in many other things. But I would say over the years his acting has got better because not long ago he's in a couple of episodes of New Girl on TV. Yeah, he's got quite a bit better since the days of Airplane. But that was 40 years ago, so we'll let him off, I think. So obviously, so then they all start falling ill. and they need to find someone who can fly the plane. And this is when obviously Ted has to go up to the front.
Yeah. But it takes him a good while to get there.
Yeah.
Autopilot, a blow-up pilot that seems to be able to control the plane. What? And then when Ted gets a hold of the steering wheel, suddenly it's all bumpy. And she has to blow it up from his crotch. Oh my God, not even remotely funny.
I mean,
You didn't find it a little bit funny?
No!
I don't find it hilarious. What I do find hilarious, though, is when Leslie Nielsen comes into the room and then goes like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, as if disturbing this woman and this inflatable doll.
But then after it's finished, they're both just smoking a cigarette like it's been a great experience. I loved it. No, totally didn't love it.
No.
But
This film is a PG.
Is it?
Is it PG?
It's a PG rating. How?
I didn't realise it was that low. It must have been. I think it must have been reclassified over the years because it's.
Maybe, but it was a PG when it was released.
There's definitely, because I know you're a fan of it. There's definitely some random boobs at one point.
Do you know
as well.
one of my notes is what is with the boobs?
I knew Taylor would immediately see the boobs and be like,
When I saw that, and I was telling my wife Louise about this when we were in the car yesterday, she was like, and what did you think when you saw the boobs on screen? And I was just like, I was more thinking how Taylor was reacting to it.
But it's when they panic, isn't it? Suddenly there's just random boobs. Like, why? So tasteless and boring and unnecessary. And no.
Okay, so I think we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back shortly. And we're back.
At this point, we finally go to. Well, I say finally because I've been watching the film and I've expected it a lot sooner. But we're now at air traffic control, so we see the ground people who are ready to see them into the landing. And the guy who plays the chief, I can't remember his name, but he's another one of those characters in these sort of films that I absolutely love. He talks so fast. There's so many things going on.
Oh, I've just given up. Bad week to give up drinking.
That ongoing bad week to give up amphetamines.
Lloyd Bridges.
Lloyd Bridges, fantastic.
This is jumping a bit, but when it's bad time to give up sniffing glue. What?
And then that shot of him upside down at the end, and he's off his face.
No.
Okay.
A bit earlier though, there's that character though in the air traffic, Johnny, the kind of camp, unhelpful character. I just find him so annoying. Like, I didn't find any of his bits funny. I just hated that character.
I think, I must admit, it doesn't do a lot for me. I think he's very stereotyped sort of characterisation of in general, but yeah, it just felt very forced. I don't necessarily find it funny. Oh, Lloyd Bridges all the way for me. I love the way he talks and everything's so fast. But I see a lot of this now, knowing now that it's based specifically on this film. I feel like these characters are very stereotyped for the characters that they're supposed to be. Like this Rex Kramer they bring in, who's supposed to be this pilot. I don't really know who he is specifically, other than just maybe someone who's flown a lot over the years. And he knows Ted, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, they send him to go and get...
Yeah.
But this guy seems to know enough to tell him how to blow up the autopilot. So he knows a lot, but he doesn't know everything.
Well, maybe the autopilot is standard issue across various planes.
God.
I
hope not.
But I love... What got me as well, like, anything that's happening in air traffic control is it's just always random stuff happening. Like, they're talking and all of a sudden a spear flies into a map on the wall
and never gets
nowhere.
explained.
And then like behind him, there's just a melon just drops from the ceiling and smashes on the floor, and I was like, what's happening here? Just no context to it at all. Like most of the gags have got some basis in something, and maybe I was just missing it, but it's just like, what is kicking off? But I did like that when they then call the wife of the pilot of the airplane to tell her that, like, obviously it's in trouble and they might not land, that she's in bed with a horse.
Why? Is that like a say it? Like, no.
I don't think there's any why to it.
Well, at first I thought, oh, this is like The Godfather, like a take on that.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, no, apparently she's sleeping
just
with the
sleeping
horse.
with the horse. Just like talks to it like it's a person.
Yeah,
just like
let
I've got
yourself
to go.
out.
So weird.
I assume she's cheating on him with the horse.
I thought it might be like a saying.
Sleep with the horse.
Don't sleep with the horse.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, rubbish.
Oh.
But this is basically, to me, the end of the film. They land the plane. Spoilers. That is
They
literally...
do land the plane. I mean...
Yeah, I could jump. But air hostess doesn't talk about. They're like, oh, we need someone to land this plane, or we're gonna die. And she's like, nope, don't know anyone. Everyone's life is depending on you.
But she knows that he's got this PTSD, so he can't.
But he's the only option.
Well, yeah, I mean, we know
as part of that, you know, when it'll like fade in the images over his face of the various like wartime footage of the plane, when it starts showing you like old plane footage and stuff, that
like the
really
attempts of like the biplanes just falling
really
and crashing without
tickled
even
me.
taking off. I was laughing at that. There's a couple of really iconic like Leslie Neilsen lines at this point in the film. So like when he says, "Don't call me Shirley," you know, like Ted's like, "Surely you can do that," and "Don't call me Shirley." That's a very famous. Taylor doesn't know it, but that's a very famous line. And him opening the door like 3 or 4 times, saying, "Good luck, we're all counting on you." I mean, I know someone who still does that now, so it's they're very memorable for people of our age.
Yeah.
I feel like that needs to be stated there.
Yeah.
But it is, yeah. I mean, I must admit, it does sort of wind up the film quite a bit here. With, I don't know if it's just me, but you feel like the pace of the jokes has dropped a bit here. There's more in the air traffic control tower than there is actually on the plane, really. In more verbal gags than there are visual ones.
The next memorable thing for me is he's landing the plane and he's sweating, and like it is
pouring.
literally just like a hose pipe going down his face. And they unplug the lights just for the fun of it when they're landing on the thing.
Oh, that's the Johnny character, isn't it?
Haha. What? No. And he's like going left to right, and then suddenly, yeah. I know it's not meant to be realistic, but too far.
Not even slightly, because it's like as he's holding down on the the flight controls, they just start randomly moving all over the place, don't they? Becoming really big. And
yeah.
It's not real.
I know,
It's a film, Taylor.
But the trouble is, you're watching it, and given the way the film has gone, you know there can be no tension in this landing because all of it is ridiculous, and you're not fearing for anyone's life or anything. I think that is a problem with the way of the tone of it. So you end up watching this sequence being like, can you just land it now? Can you just land it now? Can you just
either do another funny or just land the plane? But they do land it, and it's all good.
Yay.
Oh. But there's still some silly stuff. So obviously they got the girl, the heart transplant girl, off into an ambulance. It drives off, and then you just hear it crash. Just like you feel a little bit bad for her at that point. You're like, oh, she's probably not going to get there.
When they're greeting people off the plane, going on the slide. Thank you for flying with us.
Yeah. I like the idea of the slide part.
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Obviously, not in an emergency situation where I'm like exiting the plane into the Pacific Ocean or something, but in a kind of controlled
They do it
environment.
on like EasyJet training. You get to go on the slide.
Oh, I'm going to learn to be a flight attendant.
Just do it for that.
Yeah.
Go through it all.
Sign me up.
Yeah, I'm in.
But it's nice because it's a nice ending as well, because obviously they get their romantic finish. She realises that he can fly the plane now and he's over his... No, you didn't even like that they had a nice romantic finish?
Yeah, well, great, he's landed the plane, but that doesn't mean he's going to go and get a proper job, does it? So...
But it means that he's got over his fear of flying. And he can be a pilot again.
Yay, thank God. Because I was concerned. Do you want to know? So, this is... On Rotten Tomato, this film, which I think is atrocious, has got a tomato meter of 97%, yeah?
Yeah.
To put that into context, Endgame's got 94.
There you go.
Avengers End...
Better film.
So the reviewer rating is 97. What's the audience rating?
89. And it's got 291,000 people.
Yeah.
Whereas Endgame is 90% with 70,000.
There you go. You see?
But...
You are not amongst the common people.
I should be. I'm going to make a national campaign to eat.
But also, Airplane's been on there a lot longer.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, but how? Like, it's... No.
Did you not even like it when the blow-up autopilot at the end flew off with a female blow-up autopilot?
When he's taking off and it's just skidding all over.
Scraping along. That's amazing.
No. Absolutely not.
And there's that post-credits callback to the taxi.
Do you like the fact?
Yes.
Which is a nice.
Been waiting in the taxi the whole time, hasn't he? Yeah.
I'll give it 15 minutes.
I deliberately watched all of the credits just in case.
Well
So
done.
that this didn't happen for a
Good.
third week running.
Were you upset that you waited that long and that was the only thing at the end?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a rarity, to be fair. We'll warn you in the future.
Thank you. But no.
That's the end of the film.
Okay, so we're going to take another quick break, and then we're going to talk about what we think in hindsight.
Oh.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to take a step back and analyse this film with our 2020 vision glasses on. I mind putting some glasses on there for people who can't see me, which is all of you.
I can see it. It's lovely.
And, decide whether this movie holds up today. I think it's really in the balance what Taylor's going to say.
I'm not sure entirely what Taylor's opinion is of this film.
I'm going to kick it off first.
Start on a positive.
By saying I don't think this movie is good and relevant today, but I still think you can enjoy it. It's a bit like, that kind of funny uncle you have that comes around at Christmas that is hilarious, and then every now and again they'll say a couple of things you're like, oh, you can't really say that, but at the end of the day they're your uncle and they've always been around, so you kind of have to you maybe might call them out on it one time and realise they're never going to change, but ultimately you're like, I would not take you with me to a job interview or something like that. So I feel it kind of stands like that in my head at the minute. It's a bit like, I wouldn't be like, you've got to see Airplane to anyone I meet.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I think if you've grown up with the film and watched and you know what it's about, and you sort of you like it, then you can go back and watch it and still laugh at the jokes.
I still find a lot of it funny.
Yeah, but it's not without its problems. It's definitely problematic. But what Taylor say? Tell us your version.
In hindsight, I think the film holds up absolutely appallingly. I think it's racist. I think it's stereotypical. I think it goes against everything that we believe in society today. I hate it. I wouldn't recommend watching it. I think it should be stopped from airing on TV. Because I looked it up and it's airing on Comedy Central in 2 nights' time. How? What? How and why? How is this still acceptable?
It does amaze me when you said this was a PG.
Yeah,
it's PG surprised me a little bit, but then there's no swearing in it. There's no, apart from one random bit of boobs. There's not anything that's that would get it a rating. There's not a lot of swearing. There's not any real violence or there are no sex and stuff.
They're not
like
shown in a sexualised way.
No,
either, are they?
But it feels like the subject. A kid wouldn't understand most of the jokes anyway, because it's that sort of. You need to have had a bit of life experience to get a lot of those subtle gags. So it's not like,
One reason I would say is to watch it is to watch the masterclass that is Leslie Neilsen.
Yeah, Leslie Neilsen is.
It is if you want to see someone who's so good at committing to a straight-laced character who's committed to every line but is saying the most ridiculous things, it is a perfect example.
He's amazing. That. But then we can always watch Naked Gun for that.
Yep, there's Naked Gun.
Taylor's going to watch all those films now.
Not even.
I feel like when you said it should be stricken, like you should take up the air, I feel like they could do a cut of it to remove the problematic stuff and it still be.
You almost feel like they could do that quite easily.
I don't feel it's not from start to finish. It's not bad.
10 minutes long episode of SpongeBob.
I think you could remove a couple of bits from that are bad and still have the essence of the film there, because they're not long drawn out pieces.
Just cancel it.
You want it cancelled?
Yeah.
Okay.
Another bit of cancel culture. Again, well, we're divided on this one. But on the whole, I think probably this is the first film we've done that's
really doesn't hold well up in hindsight.
Not holding up 40 years later.
I struggle with this one. As much as I did enjoy it and laugh at it, and there were parts when I was laughing at it, going like, should I be laughing at this? I feel like maybe this. This is a product of its era, like a lot of stuff is. But
as they all will be.
Yeah.
Great stuff. There you go. So, don't watch Airplane.
Don't watch Airplane.
Don't do it.
Unless you want to.
Watch its sequel instead.
Airplane 2. Just for William Shatner, really.
Speaking of sequels, shall we pick our next film.
That's a great idea.
Ooh.
To do this, we're going to spin our special wheel, which will select the year. That was a mouthful. Which will select the year.
Yeah, now we've done all 3 of our birth years.
Yes.
We have the wheel.
We've got a clean slate. Okay, Here we go. It's 2006.
Oh, modern. This is good. This is a good thing.
Now, I'm going to throw this out here, guys. As we're moving towards the December month, perhaps we should do something a bit Christmassy. Do we
think
have
that's
any
fantastic idea.
ideas, 2006, Taylor?
Well, it's Taylor's. If we're going to keep doing this in a round, then
It's my
naturally goes back to Taylor's selection, I would
Okay.
say.
I think it would be a modern day travesty if I didn't pick The Holiday.
Oh.
Rom-com.
Never seen it.
What?
I know.
I just thought you'd seen everything at this point.
I have seen a lot of films. I've watched a lot of films over the years, but I've never watched The Holiday, and I couldn't really tell you why. There's no real reason, I don't think. Just
Let's change that.
That's absolutely. I'm looking forward to having not seen something for a change.
I'm looking forward to you hating it and really drilling into it. And
I'm
Taylor having to stand up for it.
I'm really excited to like something.
I like Jack Black and I like Cameron Diaz.
I've seen it before. I think
Kate
it's
Winslet?
amusing.
She's alright. I mean, the cast I don't mind at all. And what's his name?
We're off to a good start.
Jude
Jude
Law.
Law. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
So it's a cast I'll enjoy, but I don't know. It feels like Jack Black's smug face on the poster already makes me think this is going to be a hard watch.
Yeah, it's not Jack Black as you know him.
No, that's a shame. I
But-
want to be kicking off a chair going, "Ow!"
We will leave that till next time. So, in the meantime, you at home listening or in the car or wherever, pull over and download. No, watch The Holiday before the next episode, and
Get
then you
into the
can,
Christmas spirit.
yeah, exactly, and listen along with us. So that's Hindsight. You can subscribe to us on your preferred podcast platform so you get every episode as it's released. And if you'd like to show us some love, then we would be over the moon if you could leave us a review on whatever podcast app you use. Although if you use Apple Podcasts, it's quite good for the algorithm. So if you could review us on there, that would be great. Remember, you can get in touch via that'shindsight@gmail.com. And you can follow us on the social medias, Facebook and Twitter @that'shindsight. And Instagram @that'shindsightpod. There we go.
Don't forget that pod.
Don't forget the pod. Anything else to say, guys?
Have a good one.
See you next week. Oh, next month.
See you next month. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.